Hey guys, Joshua here. I wanted to go over 5 ways a seller can actually ruin the sale of the property. So the first one we got is pricing the property on the wrong terms. Now the terms that I'm talking about is, some homeowners, okay, some of you out there have this idea that the amount you paid for the home plus all the costs, especially going into years, decades of the home, is reflected into the listing price. Now, that is not the case. The listing price should be based on the present market value for your home. Now, a, an expert in the field, especially on selling homes like myself and other ones in your area, will be able to give you a very good CMA, is what we call it, comparative market analysis on what your home should be priced at with all the things that you put into the home. Now, if the home is overpriced, right? If someone agrees to put your home overpriced and it sits on the market long, meaning that you hoped and prayed you hoped and prayed to get a buyer and you actually got one, well then you're all in the clear. But more times than not, and I've seen it countless times, that if the home sits on the market because it's overpriced, buyers will immediately think, other than going and trying to look at your property, the first thought in their mind is going to be, what is wrong with that house? Okay, and now the second one. The second one is seller disclosures. Now, there is a lot of paperwork that goes on during the selling process. And, oops, let me, and just take the time, and it's crucial to take the time to fill it out correctly. Okay, now the seller disclosures, if you don't know and you haven't been through it in a while, the seller disclosures basically just ask the homeowner certain aspects of the home. Now, the questions are in multiple choice form, and they usually are yes, no, or I don't know. Now, some sellers, and I've seen this before, some sellers think that they could just rush through it, mark no, my home doesn't have any of these issues. No, 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 no. To save time and to not do the work. But it'll actually could backfire and cost you a lot of money if something goes wrong and the new buyers find that you falsely stated or answered the questions incorrectly. So make sure on the seller disclosures, it takes usually about an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on how thorough you are. I would suggest hitting that hour and a half mark to 2 hours just to make sure that you're answering everything to the best of your ability. And number three is going to be selling without a realtor. Look, I get it. Some people think that us realtors, we're overpaid and you could do the job yourself, which some people can. But by selling without a realtor, you're putting a lot of risk and responsibility onto the seller, onto you. If anything goes wrong, right? If anything goes wrong in the transaction, the the state forms that we use here in California, the state forms that we use protects you, unless it has something to do with the disclosures that we just talked about, but it protects you from any liability. So whenever you sell, you're free and clear. You're good. The risk goes right onto us. Okay, on the brokerage, on the realtors. And yes, as I just said, we do charge a commission, but think of it this way: we don't get paid until your house closes and we provide a great service, right? And part of providing a great service is we put a lot of money and time and effort into making sure that we get the most market exposure to your house and making your house look the best shape possible in not just the street but the entire subdivision. And we put up all the risk up front and we don't get paid until it sells. So we're right there with you. And number four is going to be ignoring real estate advice. Now, we've seen this countless times as well as a seller, whenever you hire a realtor, right? I mean, even if you're selling it by yourself and you have a real estate buddy or a friend that could help you with the transaction, that's great. But, listen to the realtor. You don't have to agree with every word we're saying, but just have an open mind and understand where we're coming from because we are the experts in the marketplace. We're realtors. We study, we We've been there. We've seen horrible properties that are overpriced, that didn't have any care or uptake onto them before they hit the marketplace, and then they end up just sitting there. We've seen the overpriced properties with people just unrealistic, thinking that their house, just because it's their house, is the best house ever, and they're commanding such a high price. We've seen it all, and we are the trusted consultants in the real estate market space. So please just be open and don't ignore our advice. We are here to actually make your life easier and generate you more money. I promise you, we'll generate you more money at closing. And we encourage you to be an active participant, be in the discussion. You know your street way better than anyone else. We encourage that connection, that running ideas off of you. Like, what I do is I lay out my entire plan. This is what I like to do, and it's worked out great with all my results. But there's always been many times to where someone's pointed out a good strategy to go, and I've incorporated that and we've executed and we've gotten the results. So please just take our advice seriously and don't completely ignore us or leave us out in the dark with what you're feeling. And number 5 is going to be making expensive upgrades before selling. Now, there's a huge difference between getting the home ready to sell and then making a ton of upgrades to increase the price, the purchase or the list price of your home far above what the market is actually willing to give. Now, if this happens, there's two things that are going to happen. One is you're just going to sit on the market hoping for a buyer. It may come, but we're going off hope. There's hopium, right? And then two, all those upgrades that you made just to put more money on your pocket, especially way above market value, you're going to be stuck with those. You're going to be stuck with that cost, and you're going to be stuck with the house, and you're not going to be able to move on to a new chapter of your life, whether it's moving out of state, downgrading, upgrading, selling to have some more investment properties, whatever the case may be. If you start going crazy, and it goes back to step number 4 and not listening to the advice of the real estate professional, you could be stuck with that property, and you could be stuck with that huge bill that you just did all these expensive upgrades on before selling. Now it's crucial and very important. Well, I wouldn't really say crucial, but it's very important to make the improvements that increase your return on money, your money on money cash, right? Like, if your house is outdated and, you got to take out the carpet and add hardwood floors because all the comparables of the houses around your house, they all had hardwood floors and they got a lot of money. Well, it's a good idea to probably have a lot of, or to rip out the carpet and do hardwood floors because everything else sold had hardwood floors, and now these buyers, the buyers that weren't able to get the property, but that they want to pay you that high price, well, they're going to want hardwood floors, right? Because there's so much demand on these properties. So just doing those little things like that will increase your cash on cash return. But if not, just it's crucial to price it effectively to increase the chances, 90% of selling your house. And that's the 5 steps. My name's Joshua. Leave me any comments. Subscribe to this. I put out tips on tricks on how to sell your property, and I will see you guys on the next one.